and I loved how it ended too because it sets it up for possible more stories. And I think there's three books, or there's going to be three books. For me, it was a winner all the way. And if I think I saw the Wild Robot at TIFF, and I'm like, this is gonna, win the best animation at the Oscars. But then I saw Flow, and I was like, I think the Wild Robot is gonna have hard time unless Flow wins for best foreign film because kind of French, even though there's no dialogue, and the Wild Robot wins for best animated film. But amazing casting. I thought the casting was perfect. As you said, the score was amazing, and I can't say enough about the film. I also do tell people go not just watch it in theaters, watch it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX, and it was just amazing experience. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I guess we should say a little bit about the cast that you alluded
Yes.
to. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Roz, and if I didn't know she was voicing it, I don't think I'd have pinpointed her playing that role. She sounds very different to how she sounds in a lot of her live action films. A little bit similar, I guess, to the role of Maz Kanata that she played in the Star Wars
Mm.
movies, Force Awakens and so forth. Kind of, yeah, she's got this ability to really change her voice and just sound quite otherworldly, I suppose you could say. Yeah, I really liked her performance in it. And I don't know how familiar people in, on the other side of the pond, let's say, are with Matt Berry, who's a British actor. He plays in the film, he voices the really grouchy beaver called Paddler, if you remember that
Mm.
character.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt
Mm-hmm.
Berry is kind of like a king of voiceovers in the UK for a start. He's also got he had a very amusing a sitcom called Toast, where he plays this kind of resting actor. And it's a very surreal comedy. I highly recommend it. I don't know if you can get it over there, but it was on
What is it
channel.
called?
It's called Toast, as in like
Toast.
toasting bread. But
Okay.
his character is called Stephen Toast, and it's a very strange film. Sorry, a very strange show. But yeah, Barry's known for that. He's known for various sort of singing exploits. Yeah, he's just very very funny, and he does a really good job here. Of course, Pedro Pascal. We haven't even
Mm.
mentioned Fink, who plays the fox that kind of
Yep.
helps Roz in this kind of quest for kind of raising Brightbill, the little goose. And it was, by the way, it was eat, swim, and fly. That was the instructions
Eat,
that
swim,
Roz.
and fly.
That was the instructions Roz is given to help little Brightbill, who's voiced by Kit Connor. But yeah, so you've got sort of helping them, this kind of conniving fox who really wants to eat to go against Fink's own nature, and obviously which would be to eat the baby goose. And that was quite an amusing dynamic. I thought that worked quite well as a kind of counterpoint to Roz's sort of sincerity. Um, and then you got another great British actor, Bill Nighy, comes in as Longneck, who's the kind of wise old goose that Brightbill ultimately teams up with when there's the migration, the ultimate migration that has to happen with all birds from such an island. So it is a lovely voice cast. I think they didn't go for sort of huge stars, although you could argue that Lupita and Pedro Pascal are pretty big. But yeah, it was a really nice card. I'm glad you mentioned the Iron Giant as well, because that was definitely a film that was in my mind when watching this. Had a similar sort of, well, obviously there's a robot in both, but uh had a similar atmosphere, I guess, similar tone. Um yeah, I feel like that's what they're going for. I mean, interesting you said Flow might beat it at the Oscars. I think probably the might of DreamWorks is, machinery
Marketing and
will.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
obviously I haven't seen Flow yet, but from what I've heard and from what you've just said, it does sound like a worthy winner. But you just imagine that the DreamWorks campaigning will probably push Wild Robot over the line. And to be honest, I don't think anyone could complain if it did win the Oscar, because it's a
It's a good
really
film.
good, yeah, it's a really
Yeah,
good
yeah,
piece of work. And
yeah.
as I said earlier, I think Chris Sanders is somewhat underrated compared to, say, Pete Docter, who well deserves his reputation, being at Pixar and things he's done like Soul and Inside Out. But yeah, Sanders is extremely inventive as you know, as an animation director, and this is just such a, you know, the kind of the observations of the natural world are so beautifully done in that first two-thirds that you could just sort of sit back, and you don't really need to follow the plot. There isn't really that much of a plot as such. There is, of course, this sort of, as I was mentioning, this idea of parenthood and survival. I guess there's more themes than there are. The plot comes in the final third. Like you said, there needs to be a little bit of conflict. I accept that, but I more enjoyed, let's say, wallowing in the natural world in that first, you know, as I say, it is a bit like a nature documentary or something. There just happens to be a robot in the middle of it.
Imagine if somebody actually made a real documentary about that.
Yeah.
That's an actually pretty cool idea. But going back to the cast, there's Catherine O'Hara, who plays Pinktail. The family with the um, what's that animal called?
Is that the otters?
Is it
I,
the one with the kids?
yeah, I
Uh,
remember.
yeah. So she plays that. There's Mark Hamill who plays the bear, which I did not know. I mean, it was amazing to find that out afterwards when I saw the credit. I'm like, oh, Mark Hamill is in there. And Ving Rhames, I think he's in there for a little bit. But the amazing thing with the casting was not just, the lead, but everybody. Sometimes you actually can tell with the voices that that's the actor. Like in this case, I could not, and which was great. Because that doesn't distract you. Oh, that's, Luke Skywalker playing the bear, or, Catherine O'Hara playing a character. It was just a perfect film, and even the flow, like the way it begins. I'm just gonna give away one quick shot. It literally begins. The camera kind of goes through the clouds and the thunders, and it cuts to him being on the island. That's it. I mean, they could have done this whole sequence like Castaway, where Tom Hanks is in the plane and the crashes, and maybe they did, but it was just the flow was just so good because it just went boom, 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 but enough to be able to absorb all the emotions and the characters. And I thought that, like you said, sorry, excuse me, the Fox character, which was played by Pedro Pascal Fink, was such an amazing choice of a animal because foxes are known to be clever, right? And you have this robot who's trying to understand, forget about, you know, just human emotion and just the information she's trying to collect, and she encounters this character who's the cleverest animal in the kingdom, and then how his transformation happens. So I thought it was really brilliantly done. The direction, the voicing, everything was, and the animation was perfect for me. I know I'm very excited about this film, but it's an amazing film, and I can say to people, please go watch it with your family. It's an amazing, amazing experience.